Blake Lively tried to extort, blackmail, witness tamper, all of those things with Taylor Swift.
Swift was really hurt after being implicated in this fight.
Blake Lively allegedly blackmailed Taylor Swift using a decade's worth of private texts unless Taylor supported her in court, and guess what? The judge isn't having it.
And so when you think about it, how Taylor, all these past few months, has been denying that she knows anything about it. She hasn't been part of it. She doesn't want to be involved. But they were behind the scenes already sharing this information with Brian Friedman.
Blake keeps pushing his limits with PR stunts and legal drama, and now even the court is tired of her over-the-top behavior.
He responds directly to an affidavit that Justin Baldoni's attorney, Brian Friedman, submitted to the court, and we've got the details.
Let's just rip the Band-Aid off. Blake Lively was accused of blackmailing Taylor Swift. Yep, Gossip Girl turned into Gaslight Girl real quick. This might be the Super Bowl of celebrity betrayals. Justin Baldoni's lawyer, Brian Friedman, dropped a legal bomb so big it made all of Hollywood's Botox freeze mid-injection.
So when he was subpoenaing Taylor Swift, he knew what he was doing. This wasn't just a fly-by-night thing.
This man straight up accused Blake of threatening to leak 10 years. Yes, 10 years of private texts between her and Taylor if Taylor didn't fully go into I stand with Blake mode during the lawsuit.
Telling Taylor essentially that unless she backed up Blake's claims of SH, then they would release personal text messages about Taylor Swift to the public.
Let's break that down. Imagine being so selfish, so desperate for support in your PR mess that you allegedly pressure one of the most famous women in the world and say, support me or I'm dropping the messages. Like, is this friendship or blackmail? And it doesn't end there.
And then this has been hanging over them since the Super Bowl.
Blake's team didn't just drop the support me or else threat. They allegedly added, oh, and can you delete those messages too? Because if you're going to threaten someone, might as well try to hide the proof while you're at it, right? You know, classic fake girl boss drama.
And then also that they wanted Taylor to delete text messages, I guess between her and perhaps between her and Ryan, but we know between her and Blake. We don't know what is in those text messages.
Now here's where it gets really serious. This wasn't just some random post online. This claim was made in court, like officially filed with a sworn statement. If you lie in one of those, you could face perjury charges and lose your job as a lawyer. So Brian Friedman wasn't just talking drama, he was risking everything. He basically said, I'm a lawyer, I stand by this, and if I'm lying, take my license. That's not just gossip. That's real, serious truth boiling over.
That Brian Friedman wrote to the judge. Now, I'm going to read it out to you, and he's asserting how he found the information, and he's affirming that, like, I'm a lawyer, I'm putting my career on the line, I am putting myself on the line.
And guess what the judge did? He threw the whole thing out, not because he thought it was fake, but because the law firm behind the subpoena, Venal LP, is based in DC, not New York. That's right. Judge Louis J. Lyman pretty much said, this isn't my problem, it's not in my area. Blake didn't win anything. The court just said, take your messy drama to DC. This isn't the place for it.
So yesterday, it was known that Judge Lehman had striked the letter that Freeman sent him, explaining why he needed to subpoena Taylor Swift.
Now let's talk about that affidavit for a moment because the details are explosive. It was Valentine's Day, February 14th, 2025, and while most of us were wondering why we're still single, Brian Friedman was getting a call from someone very close to Taylor Swift.
I received a voicemail from a person very closely linked to Taylor Swift, whom I subsequently called back the same day. Out of respect for the individual in question, I am not identifying them at this time. However, should the court direct me to do so, I will comply with the court's order.
Not just any source, but someone who had the kind of access most people would do anything to get. The call lasted a full hour minus 60 minutes of insider drama that makes any Real Housewives reunion seem like a quiet nap.
I submit this affidavit in opposition to the motion to strike filed on May 14, 2025 by Blake Lively regarding my May 14, 2025 letter elaborating on the basis for Wayfarer parties subpoena to Venable LLP. So Venable is the law firm that represents Taylor Swift.
During this call, the source says Blake's lawyer, Michael Gatley, remember that name, called Taylor's lawyer and basically gave a mob boss ultimatum. Taylor better post a statement backing Blake or 10 years of texts would go public. That's not just shady, that's straight up villain origin story level petty.
Now, Michael Gottlieb, Blake's attorney, he's the one denying that any of this ever happened in the press. So not only is he defending his client, but he's trying to defend himself. This is why it almost seems like his response is very emotional.
And the kicker? Taylor's lawyer allegedly hung up the phone and called it exactly what it was: extortion. Not uncomfortable, not tense, not awkward, straight up extortion. Then, as if that wasn't enough, a written follow-up was sent. Yes, there is allegedly a written message from Taylor's lawyer to Blake's team addressing the whole blackmail nonsense.
Mr. Gottlieb requested on Miss Lively's behalf that Taylor Swift make a social media statement in support of Miss Lively, given her absence from the Super Bowl that year, and stated that if Miss Swift failed to do so, Miss Lively would release 10 years.
That's the smoking gun Baldoni's team wanted to use in the subpoena, but Blake's lawyers rushed in saying, no, 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 irrelevant, don't bring that up. Girl, if it's really so irrelevant, why are you trying to bury it 6 feet deep?
If this is what happened, this is extortion, and I believe this happened without a doubt. I'm taking this as fact. You can bank everything on it. This happened. All right.
Let's rewind and talk about what started all this chaos: the Super Bowl. Blake wasn't there, and Taylor didn't invite her. Most of us wouldn't care, but for Blake, it felt like a full betrayal. That's said to be what triggered her alleged meltdown, where she panicked and demanded public support like it was a ransom note.
This is Taylor confirming that this is true.
But here's the twist: Taylor hadn't talked to Blake in months. Everything was going through lawyers. You know, a friendship is over when you have to plan a catch-up through legal teams. While Taylor dealt with the legal subpoena, Blake was out there fake laughing next to Salma Hayek in front of cameras, like she was starring in a Netflix show called Desperately Pretending I Still Have Friends. The photo ops were so fake they might as well have been AI made, and the press noticed.
So Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds caught up with pal Salma Hayek as their ongoing legal battle with Justin Baldoni continues. Sure, this was just natural and organic.
Even the magazines that usually go easy on Blake and Ryan, like People and Daily Mail, stopped pretending. People magazine, which used to be Blake's biggest fan, reported that Taylor and Blake's friendship was over. Not like a we're on a break kind of pause, but more like this is finished, don't bring it back. They said Taylor wanted nothing to do with the drama.
She has spent quality time with the couple over the years, making dinner for them and having a girls' night in 2016. So almost a decade ago, they had a girls' night and she's been making dinner for them. Stop the cap, please. Why'd they get Selma to do this?
And why would she? Taylor's stuck in a lawsuit she never agreed to. Meanwhile, Blake is out there spinning friendship stories just to grab media attention. Meanwhile, Baldon's team is quietly gathering proof, affidavits, and subpoenas like a serious chess game, while Blake's acting like she's in a game of Clue, blaming everyone for a murder in the conservatory with the candlestick.
I don't know. And they say, look, Selma, you got to do this or, they're going to expose this about us. Back in 2017, Hayek praised Lively during a speech at Variety's Power of Women luncheon.
Let's not forget Blake's PR stunts, the whole dinner with Salma Hayek moment. Yeah, we saw the footage and Salma looked like she was trying to keep her distance from Blake in 2025. Her body language screamed, "Get me out of here." But the PR photo said, "We're besties forever." Hilarious, painful, desperate. Pick your adjective.
What do they have on Selma? Wrote Salma Hayek into this? Does she not know what the case is what's going on with the case? Do they have dirt on her? Did they blackmail her like it's being alleged that they blackmailed Taylor Swift?
And all of this, from the subpoena meltdown to the broken friendships and the Super Bowl sulk, is leading to one thing. Blake Lively is spiraling, and she's pulling everyone down with her. Except Taylor, because Taylor dipped. Swifties noticed, Hollywood noticed, even Travis Kelce noticed. He literally unfollowed Ryan Reynolds the day Taylor got subpoenaed. You know something's wrong when NFL boyfriends start taking sides.
And also, Blake Lively had asked Taylor Swift to delete text messages between them from 4 or 5 months before this phone call actually took place with Brian Friedman and this source, this anonymous source, which took place in February. That indicates that Blake Lively was already trying to get rid of evidence.
But Blake's out here scrambling, filing motions, staging photos, and acting like everything's fine, while the public is throwing tomatoes like it's a Shakespearean tragedy. So let's break down Judge Lyman's ruling, because Blake Lively's PR team has been spinning it like they just won the Oscars.
Judge grants Blake Lively's request to Blake Lively's request to have improper Taylor Swift bullying claims tossed out. They're not just bullying claims. We're talking about witness tampering.
No, this wasn't a win. This was a jurisdictional redirect with a side of "you tried it." On May 15, 2025, Judge Louis J. Lyman struck the affidavit from the New York docket, not because it was false or lacking evidence, but because it wasn't his court's business. The subpoena involved a DC-based law firm, so Lyman simply said, "Not my court, not my problem."
Is that the judge tossed it out for 2 reasons. One reason was that he said that this is not relevant in this case that we have going here between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. And he said that this is kind of salacious and it was to promote public scandal. The other reason is that he said this doesn't belong in my court because Friedman was asking to see documents from Taylor Swift's lawyer.
Let's be clear, the judge didn't say Blake Lively was innocent, just that this court couldn't rule on it. That's not a win, it's a technicality. Yet her team ran to the press like it was a victory lap. Meanwhile, Taylor Swift, silent. Tree Payne, silent. Travis Kelce unfollowed Ryan Reynolds. Kiji's out. Even People magazine turned. When Taylor cuts you off with silence, that's not peace, that's war in slow motion. The Swifties got the message. Blake threatened to leak texts. Taylor deleted her. Hollywood's golden girl is burning bridges in Coucher, and no Vogue cover can fix it. Do you think Blake crossed the line? Or is Taylor's silence all the proof we need? Drop your thoughts below, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for the next twist in this Hollywood fallout.